There's something strange about these places. When we look at them, we feel odd emotions, nostalgia, mystery, fear. Something feels off. There are no children in the playground, no cars in the parking lot, no furniture in the house. These photos carry a very lonely and oppressive atmosphere. In fact, this type of place has a specific name, liminal space, from the word limen, meaning threshold. Recently, these kinds of spaces have become very popular on the internet. You could even say they've turned into their own art form. Communities have formed where people share images like these. These photos tend to share certain characteristics. First of all, there are no people in them. The images often look like they're from the past, with low-quality visuals typical of older cameras. Another key feature is that these places feel familiar. Some people feel as if they've been there before. Even if they haven't, others claim they've seen these places in their dreams. I think the nostalgia we feel comes from the fact that many of these photos look like they were taken years ago, with the visual quality associated with older cameras, but I want to focus more on the tension and fear these places evoke, because this is where things get interesting. We shouldn't limit liminal spaces to photography alone. We can experience similar feelings in video format as well. In fact, films are very effective at making us feel this way. For example, when watching The Shining, it's possible to experience a similar effect. The main character, Jack, moves into a massive hotel with his family during the winter to take care of maintenance. While it's closed for the season, even though the hotel has a beautiful design, when it's empty and closed, it feels incredibly unsettling. Even walking through it feels disturbing, and we watch as Jack gradually loses his sanity. One of the film's most powerful features is that it chooses not to scare the audience directly, but to leave them on the edge of fear. You expect something terrible to happen. You expect someone to appear from somewhere, but they don't. The film keeps you on the threshold of fear, and staying on that threshold creates tension. It manages to terrify the audience without relying on jump scares. Actually, there's a medium that uses liminal spaces even better than films: video games. When wandering around empty servers in an online game, we can experience the same strange feeling. Players who have played older versions of games like Counter-Strike and Half-Life often report feeling uncomfortable when exploring empty servers. Some game developers notice this eerie feeling tied to empty maps and created games consisting entirely of abandoned, empty spaces to deliberately create tension. Examples include the Backrooms, inspired by an internet creepypasta, or No Players Online, where you play completely alone in empty servers. These types of games succeed in breaking away from classic horror formulas. In traditional horror games, you know a monster will appear, and the game tries to scare you by suddenly revealing it along with loud sound effects. But in horror games that contain liminal spaces, the sense of tension is delivered in a much more creative way. There are no monsters. You are completely alone. You don't experience extreme fear because there are no jump scares, but you can never fully relax either. The game keeps you in a strange emotional state between fear and comfort. Even more interesting are games that unintentionally contain liminal spaces. For example, Super Mario 64. Players often mention that wandering around its maps feels strangely unsettling. The environments feel so empty and soulless that instead of being purely fun, the game can feel eerie. Of course, I'm sure the creators of Super Mario 64 had no intention of frightening players. After all, it was designed for children, and the last thing a children's game would aim to do is scare its audience. But the simplistic and empty map design makes the game feel unsettling, rather than purely entertaining. The most powerful aspect of the three games I mentioned is that they raise the questions in the player's mind. Why is there no one else here? Or, is there someone else here besides me? Liminal spaces are deeply mysterious, and it's difficult to fully explain that mystery in a single video. But in my opinion, their most powerful feature is this: they make us feel alone. We are so used to seeing these places filled with people that when the human element is removed, our brains struggle to process them. If I had to personify a liminal space, it would be someone lonely, abandoned, forgotten, maybe even dead, because these spaces feel soulless, like a corpse. Perhaps they feel so disturbing because they remind us of concepts we all fear deep down: death, loneliness, abandonment.